Well, 10 failed votes to fund the government and end the government shutdown as it nears 3 weeks. Thank you for joining us for your 11 on 11. I'm Jurnee Taylor. Democrats and Republicans continue to be in a stalemate. Many are concerned about layoffs while they're furloughed during the shutdown. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration not to fire any government employees for now. The White House budget director says the administration is looking to cut around 10,000 jobs. Locally, TSA workers are among the highest profile federal workers going without pay right now. Local restaurants are working with officials at Clinton National to provide breakfast and lunch to federal employees at the airport. It figures to help about 100 workers. City Director Cappy Peck, who also owns Trio's restaurant, is helping organize the effort.
This is something that we can do to give back to the community, to show our support and these people how important they are, and that during the government shutdown, during these challenging times, we will answer the call and we will help. That's what we do. We feed people.
Employees will also be able to take food to go and receive additional help from the Arkansas Food Bank. And local nonprofits are also feeling the pinch. THV11's Maya Ellison shows us how Helping Hand of Greater Little Rock is doing all it can to support those who are already struggling to make ends meet.
At Helping Hand of Greater Little Rock, every day is busy. For more than 50 years, the nonprofit has served families in the historic Marshall Square district and beyond, ensuring every need is met.
If they come in to buy anything, all this money goes back so we can put food down into the food pantry.
Everybody gets 3 pieces of meat, but by Thursday we're pretty much out of meat.
But in the midst of the government shutdown and federal funding cuts, operations are shifting.
We would put at least 8 canned goods in the bag. Now, with the cost of everything, we're down to 6.
That's Executive Director Margaret Douglas.
Helping Hand, this is Margaret.
She's the familiar voice behind Helping Hand, now delivering hard news.
We have no funds for utilities at this time. I don't expect us to get anything this year. So I'm unable to help anybody with rent, and I have not heard from my clients, anybody that's doing rent at this time.
For many families, that means making tough choices.
They didn't have anything right now. You know how late it is when we got up here, but about 10 o'clock, after 10 when we got here.
I have my seniors that call, and it's heartbreaking for me to I'm constantly saying no.
Douglas explains that because of the shutdown, they now have to cut back on donations, affecting not just the present, but what's ahead.
I worry that we may not be able to give the Christmas that the children are used to giving, to receiving.
But even through challenging times, Helping Hand proves that a little help and heart can go a long way.
And at the end of the day, if I pull your name, you get double Christmas. By the grace of God, we're going to make it through the shutdowns, the layoffs. We're going to have a great holiday.
In Little Rock, Maya Ellison, THV11 News.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture says October 22nd will be when it releases a long-running report that tracks hunger rates across the country. It will also be the last time this specific report comes out. The Trump administration has criticized the report of being redundant and politicized. The survey behind the annual report consistently ranks Arkansas as the most food insecure state in America. Local food banks say the problem can be traced back to the spike in inflation after the pandemic.
People are working and making what used to be a good wage, and it's not enough now to pay all the bills and still buy food. And I promise you, you know somebody who's food insecure. You know somebody who's food insecure. I know somebody who's food insecure.
Officials with the Central Arkansas Food Bank said they have no other way to track food insecurity despite the end of that USDA report. Farmers here in Arkansas, a vital part of stopping food insecurity. Many in the industry are struggling, though. We've talked with farmers who say they might have to close their storied family farms. Carter 3 shows us today a company in Sheridan that's looking to grow what's called vertical farming.
We're in the Mississippi-Arkansas Delta. the biggest industry is farming, it's agriculture.
Tamika Butler is the mayor of Eudora, Arkansas, in the southeast part of the state. On Tuesday, she made the 2-hour trip up to Sheridan to watch a demonstration of a technology that she says could totally change her city.
You can take 1 acre of land, of 1 acre of traditional row crop farming, and put it in your living room.
She's talking about something called vertical farming, and the company showing it off Tuesday is called 180 Pipe. Their vice president, Luigi Campos, tells me the system saves space, and since the plants don't touch each other, time.
It allows to grow the plants slightly faster because they're not competing for resources at the root level.
According to Campos, the faster growing time and the fact that you could do this pretty much anywhere means it could help in fighting food insecurity. One criticism of vertical farming is that it's hard to use natural light. But Campos says 180 Pipe can keep the electric bill small because of how the operation works.
We don't use any LEDs. We use light diffusion technology along with different lighting on the pane that allows it to reflect back to the plants.
They're also able to recycle their water, which flows through a pipe on top, down past the plants, and back to their water tanks before doing it all again. For Mayor Butler, she's convinced and wants to bring it to Eudora and across the state.
We need the communities to come together, first of all, to see what it is that we have and see firsthand that this is a proven system that will work and can work, and it does work.
As Carter mentioned, the method has its pros and cons. The USDA says it can get expensive because you need artificial light and temperature control, but farmers are able to grow year-round regardless of the weather. This week, Little Rock firefighters getting an historic contract boost. The new 3-year contract gives firefighters consecutive 5% raises from 2024 through 2026, the largest financial commitment in the department's history. It also addresses health concerns with routine cancer screenings and a plan for safer gear.
It sends a clear message that our city values the men and women who serve it with pride and professionalism every day.
City officials also highlighted $4 million in recent investments, including funds from the American Rescue Plan to support facilities, equipment, and training. Well, a voter is looking to force Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders to hold a special election earlier than it is currently scheduled. It's to fill Gary Stubblefield's now vacant state Senate seat in the district where the governor wants to build a 3,000-bed prison. Catherine Rowley shows us the current election is set for March 3rd and June 9th after plans on building the prison where it will be approved.
The discretion's simply not there. In the Constitution, it says she shall issue a writ of election. It doesn't say she can pick the dates. It doesn't say she can put it out as far as she wants.
That's attorney Jennifer Standiford, the lawyer for Colt Shelby. She's pointing to the state law that tries to spell out the process when a member of the legislature dies in office. Arkansas Code says that a governor should act quickly within at least 150 days unless holding a special election is, quote, impractical or burdensome. To those opposed to the Franklin County Prison, the governor is taking those exceptions way too far.
150 days is 150 days, and with no good reason, trying to say it saves $20,000, that's $5,000 per county if you really want to look at it. It's really ridiculous. I mean, to even go out 14 months originally and not have representation, it's just stealing representation from those people. State
Senator Brian King says regardless of how he feels about the prison, leaving his colleague's seat open through the next year's fiscal session just isn't right.
In reality, what is being transpired, the real reason is about impacting the budget session, billions of dollars. These, won't have representation on education issues, any issue at all.
Shelby's lawsuit points out that the timeline the governor set out doesn't match other more recent vacancies, including during Republican administrations.
And let's get it up there under 150, just like Asa Hutchinson did it. I looked at the time frame. I looked up the Lance Eads, which was in 2021. If Lance Eads and Asa Hutchinson could make this happen and get representation for District 7, I don't see why District 26 can't get the same.
Attorney General Tim Griffin is defending the timeline, saying Shelby's case should be dismissed. They say that the law does give the governor discretion if she thinks holding a small election weeks before a bigger one is too expensive. But Shelby and Standiford argue the timeline right now violates fundamental voting rights.
And the reason is, this is something that's in the Constitution. It's for the people. We are the voice. This is Arkansas. This isn't Washington, D.C. We don't have a communist state. It's democracy.
Asking for is just for the court to enforce the law, just for the court to consider the constitutional rights of the voters, to consider that the law itself requires that these be expedited and moved up.
Well, the judge did not make a ruling despite calls to expedite the case. Here in Central Arkansas, another special election is set for the same dates to fill the vacancy in House District 70 in North Little Rock and Sherwood. A former worker in the state health department has filed a lawsuit over her First Amendment rights and what she calls government censorship. Lana Gray lost her job after someone complained about her social media comments following the death of Charlie Kirk. She calls her termination from the health department unconstitutional retaliation. Legal experts like attorney Adam Rose says it could be complicated and a complicated case as a public worker.
Your employer is the government or any government entity or stationed through the government. That's when it gets tricky, because that is specifically what the First Amendment is to protect the government trying to censor any kind of free speech.
The lawsuit comes just a few weeks after late night host Jimmy Kimmel made headlines for his remarks and short-lived suspension. That threat of censorship raises concerns for legal experts like Rose.
There was no problem with ABC firing him. They are a private company. The problem with that was when the FCC chair, who is a government entity, is trying to filter him for his political speech. That was the problem.
Now, we have followed at least 2 cases of public sector employees either fired or suspended following Kirk's death in Central Arkansas. A law school professor at UA Little Rock's Bowen School and a high school teacher in Russellville. Another court challenge against the state? Well, we're learning more about the group behind the 10 Commandments displays now required at the University of Arkansas. The donation of nearly 500 posters made by an organization called Counteract USA. But as Bo Russell reports, the groups fighting the posters in public schools hopes their lawsuits pulls them from college classrooms as well.
Same people who are crying woke ideology on one side of the spectrum are the same ones that are indoctrinating students by forcing the 10 Commandments into public spaces.
Arkansas Act 573, which was passed earlier this year, forces the University of Arkansas to display the 10 Commandments in all its classrooms now that they've received this large donation of posters, almost 500 of them.
It's really, at this point, you have our legislators who have enacted bills that we find unconstitutional.
Chris Sweeney with the Freedom from Religion Foundation has been fighting this bill in federal court since it passed.
Our pathway is really by way of the judiciary, which up to this point has been favorable. We have decades of precedent behind us, and we're leaning into that.
However, Sweeney says that this new development at the university is cause for concern and that the federal government shutdown may have played a timely role.
The guardrails of separation between church and state are certainly sidelined right now, and that is a concern of ours. Separation between church and state is protected at a federal level.
Counteract USA says on their website that their founder is Abigail Jurnee, a former U of A student who is vice president of the university's Turning Point USA chapter. I asked Sweeney if Counteract's involvement at the U of A could be a precursor for other universities in the area.
We know organizations that like Turning Point or Counteract, who are active on other campuses, are following model legislation that they're trying to replicate at other campuses.
I spoke with students on Thursday when the decision was announced.
Wait, that's actually happening?
That's real? At a state public university.
I think it's a good thing, honestly.
Okay, why?
Well, I'm very religious, and I think those are the building blocks of kind of humanity.
You shouldn't have one statement about ethics and values about one religion in place whenever we don't have enough about another.
We'll vote next month for a bond in Sherwood, and discussion is growing. We hear from those for and against the measures after the break. One month from today, voters in several communities and counties will be headed to the polls for special elections. And in Sherwood, a set of tax questions are drawing loud support and opposition. TV 11's Carter 3 looks into what is shaping up to be a contentious vote next month.
Well, the big questions deal with upgrades to parks and a potential new animal shelter. They already have a tax of about 75 cents for every $100, but it expires in a couple years. This bond initiative would simply keep it going and allow the city to make some major improvements if voters say yes.
That will not only enhance the recreational and quality of life of opportunities for our residents, but they're also economic drivers.
Sherwood Mayor Mary Jo High-Townsend is passionately for the bond initiative, which would build a new indoor sports complex, an event center, a new community park, and upgrade the city's animal shelter, which the mayor says has become outdated and just isn't big enough.
Back when it was built in the 80s, a lot has changed in terms of technology, best practices, research, and so forth.
It would also upgrade the popular Henson Park Trail and the city's baseball and softball fields. But not everyone is convinced. Resident and business owner Mike Willingham says he'd like more transparency with the pricing.
We've got numbers that we've come up with for buildings, but there's not a line item budget. So we see how we got to $11.5 million for a 10,000 square foot animal shelter.
High-Townsend says it's impossible to create something like that at this stage, but they know enough to know that this tax extension will get the job done.
Once it is approved, you finalize all your architectural plans, and then everything goes out to bid. So that's when you know more of your exact costs, but we know enough to know that we can do it for this price.
The mayor says the tax would be paid by people stopping through Sherwood as well, hopefully for things like tournaments at the new sports center. But if residents say no, then it's back to the drawing board.
I think definitely Sherwood needs a new animal shelter. I don't know that we need a $11.5 million animal shelter.
To put it in perspective, on say a $100 purchase, you're looking at 75 cents.
If you're in Sherwood, when you go to vote in November, there will be 3 questions on the ballot. The first will just ask if you want to renew the bonds. The second will ask about improvements to the animal shelter, and the third will be about the parks. And all 3 need to be approved by voters in order to take effect.
And as a reminder, Election Day is November 18th, with early voting 2 weeks before that. The mayor is also planning to make herself available at a town hall next Tuesday at 6:30. And the never-ending work zones on I-30 in Saline County and I-57 northeast of Little Rock have been the testing grounds for speed enforcement cameras. Now that the state has expanded the number of cameras in use, our neighbors want to try out the tech too. RDOT says there are now 5 speed cameras active. A law passed in 2023 allowed them, but limited their use to construction sites and required live police to monitor them and track down violators after they clear the work zone.
Working towards 0 deaths, 0 crashes. The reality is those things are going to happen, but technology like this is going to help us to keep pushing those numbers downward.
RDOT says they are leading the nation with manned speed camera technology. Parts of Tennessee are the only places in our region where unmanned cameras can catch you speeding and send you a ticket. Coming up, spooky lights and community spirit. See how 2 Arkansas neighborhoods are going all out this Halloween and why families can't get enough. But first, let's eat it up.
I mean, come on. Fast food joint with amazing baked potato? Wendy's, watch out. I'm just telling you, Wendy's, watch out. This week on Eat It Up, we have made our way down to Saline County in Benton, just off Military Road at Moody's. This spot has been here for about 6 months. Used to be an old fast food chain. No, sir. It is now a locally owned and operated burger joint. Oh, we're going to try ourselves a little Oklahoma burger. Amazing, huge fried chicken sandwich that you are going to love. Not to mention, chili season is upon us, and we got to have a milkshake. So what do you say? What's your mood? Let's eat it up.
We have been here 6 months now. We opened up in April. We was currently Backyard Burgers, but we got out of that franchise and became a local. And we started out here in Benton, and we're loving it so far. Business is great. We just wanted to kick it, rock it off, and get it booming. Benton has been actually excellent with us. They have been giving us very good feedback, good support. But now it's like, you got a taste of it, They keep coming back and they loving it, and I'm loving it. And get good feedback into the community and help the community, and as they help us. You're gonna see some burgers, fries, chili cheese fries, a bowl of chili maybe, some potatoes, however you like it, top it off. See, we have good names for our burgers, you know, get the mood going and the passion in it and all that. Patty it ourselves, smash it down. You can either get it regular or Oklahoma style. Oklahoma style is with grilled onions. And you top it off with that good pub sauce that we have. The Love Bird, it comes fried, but you also can tweak it out and get it grilled. But it comes fried, it comes with honey mustard, bacon bits, mayonnaise, lettuce, and tomato. And I say every time when you bite into that, you're gonna fall in love and you're gonna start singing Love Bird songs.
I'm so excited to try this Oklahoma burger. I'm an onions guy, and they got that special sauce on here too. I got a whole onion on there. It took me a solid 2 to 3 minutes just to get that onion off that burger. It was so good. The Love Bird. Bring your honey bun too. That's how you know the folks from Benton are doing it right at Moody's, because they get you a really good, thick piece of chicken, tomato, mayonnaise, lettuce. I asked for the works on the chili. The works. I don't know where else through a drive-thru you can get chili like this. Moody's may be 101. Chili's like this through a drive-thru. The thick straw with the milkshake. Absolute must. Shout out to Moody's for making my mood amazing.
We're just a few weeks from Halloween and some Arkansas homeowners are putting on a show. They're lighting up the night with spectacular Halloween displays, all for free. Laura Castleman crept into the neighborhood to talk with the creatives behind the displays.
Started small with like a fire pit, roast marshmallows.
Mikey Wisenhunt said it brought the community together in a different way.
It's like, okay, I'm onto something here, because it really, you know, created some involvement and stuff. So we kind of expanded on that, and it grew.
It turned into a full-blown holiday tradition. Not Christmas lights, but Halloween frights. Wisenhunt's setup includes 7,000 lights synchronized to music.
So this is Lights on Locust, because we're on Locust Drive here in Greenwood. Then over in Riley Farms, you've got extreme light shows by my friend Kyle Spiegel and his family.
It all started in 2020. That's what the year of COVID. I was looking for something for people to do.
Kyle Spiegel's setup consists of 40,000 lights and takes shape months before the first season's trick-or-treaters.
I have a lot of the kids in the neighborhood come down as I'm putting it up and keep asking me, when are you going to start?
The neighborhood's excitement is exactly what keeps the spirit alive.
For Halloween, kind of gets them in the mood and the spirit.
Now this might just look like an array of 40,000 lights and Halloween decorations. This house comes alive.
All right, you can get involved by texting pumpkin to 501-376-1111 for all of the Halloween festivities taking place across Central Arkansas. After you do that, we will send you a link with all the information you need ahead of the holiday. And the State Fair coming to an end this weekend. It has been a busy week at the fairgrounds. They had their second busiest opening day Friday and Saturday, and it brought in more than 70,000 visitors. They've seen crowds pushing 40,000 a day this week. If you haven't been yet, a lot of new things to look forward to, of course, like their sea lion shows. Now the fair is open from 11 to 9 this weekend. We're also looking forward for another major attraction to make its way to the natural state.
Ever since the Buc-ee's was announced, we seem to have an unbelievable amount of people interested in coming to this county.
We're getting a bird's eye view of the progress on Arkansas's first ever Buc-ee's. The perimeter is really coming together off of I-30 in Benton. The Buc-ee's will be 75,000 square feet, and construction is expected to be finished by September of next year. Well, thank you for joining us on THV 11 Plus for your 11 on 11. We'll see you next week.